One more letter and his name would be Condom. Hello, welcome to So We're Watching That Right, a podcast where two lesbians bully each other for having the same taste in anime. I'm Becky, scientifically certified best girl.
And I'm Val, everyone's favorite harem protagonist.
This season is already so much, but we've been a bit on the busy side this week, so there aren't quite as many shows to talk about. Also, we haven't done anything about catching up on last week's B-Block. I promise we'll get around to that soon.
Yeah, I've been taking mental days and reading days instead of trying to watch more anime that I'm probably not going to be able to keep up with.
You do have a slate this season. Meanwhile, I am just getting slated.
Mm-hmm, you really are.
So, Journal with Witch, episode 3. There's a lot to talk about with this episode. We have to start by acknowledging the truly squirrel in a blender noises that I make every time there's a new outfit on Makio. Like, she is so gender. Mm-hmm. She is so much like how I want to be. And it does add a whole dimension to watching this show. Anyway, they go to Asa's old apartment where she lived with her family to clear it out, because of course they have to, and like there's loads of posts that she hasn't collected and stuff. And there are a couple of moments of Makio and Asa reflecting on what the flat says about Asa's mom, Makio's sister. And, you know, at one point in this episode, I had to ask you, did Asa's dad die at the same time as her mum? Because he's invisible in this. Mm-hmm. Like, he's not mentioned at all.
Yeah, because, like, Makio clearly had fallen out with her sister well before her brother-in-law came into the picture. And, like, he basically doesn't exist to her.
Yeah. But also, it kind of feels like he doesn't exist to Asa either. And that's really... I mean, you know, some of this is about how much Asa's still in shock, and how much her response to that has been to shut things out, right? Like, she's still sleeping all the time.
Yeah, I think it's also just like, this is not a show about her relationship with her father.
Yeah. And also, there is that thing from the first episode where none of his side of the family came to the funeral. So there's something else going on there.
Yeah.
But the major event this episode is... So Asa is finishing up middle school. Like, must have been like the last week of middle school when the accident happened. And she is going back to school just for graduation. And she turns up at school, and her friend Emery is waiting for her and is clearly agitated and distressed and is trying to say something to her. And one of the teachers comes up and tries to take Asa away. And what Emery says to prevent Asa hearing from the teacher is that after Asa had confided in Emery that her family had died, Emery told her mother, and her mother told the school.
And the school told the rest of the parents via phone tree.
Yeah, which is just the worst.
Yeah.
Like, it's such a horrid thing to do. And so here's the thing. That would be illegal in the UK. That would be a very, very serious breach of the law. I don't know whether that's true in the US. I can well imagine that it is, whether or not it is a commonly true thing. It makes sense that it would be exceptionally legalized in Japan. But my God, does it suck. Because, so they take Asa to the teacher's office, and the teachers are asking her questions about who's looking after her now. And they ask for contact details for them. And Asa basically says, I did not want to deal with any of this at this school because I'm about to leave anyway.
Yeah. Her line that really hit was, I wanted to finish middle school as a normal student.
Yeah. The teachers are unsympathetic in a way that is gut-wrenchingly realistic. They're like, what's all the fun? No, you have to tell us. Like, this is, like, we're entitled to know this part of your life, and you have to abide by the rules and give us this information. And Asa eventually gets so mad that she runs out, deliberately kicking a bin over as she goes, which is, you know, by the standards of girls in Japanese high schools in anime who aren't specifically identified as delinquents, is so, like, viscerally disobedient.
Yeah, and also for her, who has been trying to take up as little space as possible.
Yeah, and I fucking feel it, you know? And the show doesn't pretend that this is her being silly, right? The show doesn't invalidate anything about how she reacts. She runs away from school, she doesn't attend graduation, And she does actually cry. I think this is the first time she's cried.
Mm-hmm.
And she heads home, but she finds herself outside her parents' apartment that is now cleared out and is not hers anymore. And then she tries to get back to Makio's and she can't remember where it is. She can't remember the way. And Makio has to come out and get her, and Makio is very, very understanding, but also is concerned about what's happened, is trying to, in her awkward way, encourage Asa to, like, rebuild the bridge with the school. And it's like, you know, it's your graduation, you should go to your graduation. And Asa says, I bet you didn't go to your graduation, and kind of teases her for being this kind of nonconformist, whatever. And I felt very called out because I only went to one of my 3 graduations. And I actually had a big argument. When I was finishing my PhD, my mum really wanted me to go to my PhD graduation. I really didn't want to go. And we had like an hour-long argument about it. So this resonated, but Makio couldn't remember whether she went to graduation.
Yeah, which, you know, also was right in pointing out that is how little it matters in the long run.
Mm-hmm.
But her larger point wasn't that she needed to, like, reconnect with her school or whatever, but, like, that she needed to value the relationship she had.
Yeah.
Because her friendship with Emery is just, like, one of those friendships that she doesn't know personally, but she has a friend named Daigo.
Who was in the previous episode.
Yeah. And she was just like, I've known her since fucking 23 years ago, and there are some friends you keep because whatever else baggage they come with, it's important to have someone who has known you for that long.
Yeah. The thing that's at stake here is, as she's storming out of the school, Asa sees Emery and tells her she hates her, and then Emery is understandably blowing up her phone, trying to apologize, trying to just get her to respond, get her to acknowledge it at all. And through this scene with Makio, Asa's phone is like face down on the couch next to her, buzzing constantly.
Mm-hmm.
And Makio's trying to get her to like answer the phone or respond in any way. And the underlying point is like, you need friends who knew you in your teens. You need friends who knew you when you were a kid, which I think was a hell of a thing for both of us, really, because neither of us have that, right?
Mm-hmm. The closest thing I have is a friend I don't really keep in like real permanent contact with, who I met when I was just freshly, I guess it would have been in high school too. But yeah, I feel like different strokes for different folks, but it definitely, the longer people know you, it's a different kind of value you put on a relationship.
I don't even have any university friends left that I'm still in contact with, really. That's horrific.
That's fine. I didn't go to college. I shitposted online instead, and look where that got me.
Engaged?
Yeah.
Engaged and on a podcast.
Yeah, my 3rd podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, it's more than that. I just can't shut the fuck up, is the thing.
Good. I like it when you don't shut up.
But yeah, like, I have a different relationship with relationships, as it were, because, like, you know me, I've had some issues with friendships over the years that you've borne witness to, and
yeah, like, for all that this show has a good point about the friendship between Asa and Emery, and also between Makio and Daigo, it is worth saying it is also okay to cut people out of your life if you need to.
Abso-fucking-lutely.
Anyway, let's move on to Isekai Office Worker, episode 2.
Where the bees begin to L.
Don't they just? So, the title of this episode is I Got Promoted.
Yep.
And the moment where the title is displayed on screen is over Kondo and Arash in bed as Arash is starting to undress Kondo. Because this episode starts with them fucking for medical reasons.
Yep.
Like, apparently... So the thing is that Kondo isn't accustomed to magic, which is why he has bad reactions to the stamina potions and also to the healing magic that Arash used on him to cure his overdose. So Arash needs to accustom him to this world's magic, for which apparently the approach is sexual intimacy.
I mean...
Yeah, physical intimacy.
Physical intimacy. I think it's specifically he's getting him used to specifically Arash's magic and magicules so that he can, you know, not have an allergic reaction like his exposure therapy.
Yeah.
But they start that with fucking.
Yeah. I mean, like, the suggestion here is clearly that, like, something about the sexual act is the most potent way to accustom Kondo, so...
Gotta get that magic deep inside there.
Okay, so question. The next morning, after Kondo has pissed Arash off by rushing off to get back to work on time because he cannot stop, he's sitting in his chair in his office, and he thinks, I wish I had my donut cushion.
Yeah.
When he's thinking about, like, pain from the night before, like lower back pain and butt pain from getting railed.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to know what you think. Is that suggesting that he was already a bottom?
I think so,
in our world, right, yeah. Because I thought it could maybe be, like, he was used to working in a proper ergonomic office, which for some reason for him included a donut cushion.
No, I think he's just the bottom.
Fair. Anyway, there's a scene where Yua, the heroine, is getting magic lessons from Aresh, and she's trying to, like, flirt with him, trying to, like, break the ice with him. He is giving her nothing.
Yup.
Just completely blanking her. Because he can't stop thinking about Kondo, and every time Kondo opens his mouth, Aresh gets mad. And yet. It pretty much literally ends on an and yet, right?
Yup. And also, there's this entire thing where, like, Kondo's, like, he's suffering from chronic malnutrition because he works too hard and doesn't eat, like, meat. So he's just been running on veggies and, like, maybe some rice for, like, way too long. And they need to plump this boy up.
Fatten up the twink.
They're basically forcing him to, like, eat more food and get more calories in him.
Yes, and his stomach is very sensitive from, like, ages of mistreatment. But, like, the thing that's going on here with Kondo centrally is he's got this overwork complex that led him immediately into an addictive behavior with these stamina tonics. And Aresh, like, bans him from stamina tonics, and he's immediately thinking about, well, okay, could I get, like, a weaker version just to help out a bit? And it is, when it takes those moments to keep that as the core thread, it's brutal. Oh, God, like, Japanese work culture is so fucked up. And this show is so on the nose about it. At least they're going to fuck it out of him, probably, I assume.
It will take several volumes.
I'm sure there'll be several volumes. 2 years of volumes made a glopping.
Delete that. Editor Becky, cut that out. And also you, cut that out.
This is dumb. Let's move on to something more wholesome.
And dumb, to be fair.
Not any smarter, but more wholesome.
Yeah.
There was a cute girl in the hero's party, so I tried confessing to her. Episode 2. Which I realised while we were watching this second episode that the title of this show and the titles of the episodes have the same cadence as episode titles of Science Fell in Love, So We Tried to Prove It, which is a bad show.
Yeah, the vibe on that one is fucked.
Particularly towards the end. This one does not have bad vibes at all. It has lovely vibes. At one point in this episode, Yoki uses his Chuny powers to cheer up a crying child so that Cecilia can get the child to, like, say where his home is and they can get the lost child home. It's great. But that is just going to itch at me the whole fucking season.
Unfortunately, yes.
Anyway, Yoki's squad has a harpy called Happiness.
Yeah.
Like, his demon squad from when he was serving in the demon castle track him down. No, they don't track him down. They kind of stumble on him by accident. But having found him again, they're not leaving him alone. And there is this harpy called Happiness. There's a Dullahan called Duke.
Yep.
Who's kind of a stick in the mud. And
I think the pixie's named Seek. Or Sheik? One of them.
One or other, yeah. Anyway, they insist on going to meet Cecilia because they want to check that she's right for their boss. And what happens is that, like, Seek and Happiness run off, and Seek is found asleep in the lap of Cecilia's mother because she's just got mom powers. Meanwhile, Happiness encounters the maid. We haven't talked much about the maid, but the maid has things going on. It's great. Encounters the maid and is recruited into being a maid. And when it's made clear that this is a misunderstanding, she says, no, you know what? I want to work. I'm going to stay here and be a maid.
Yep.
And then Cecilia's mom orders Yoki to take Cecilia on a date because she doesn't get out enough and she doesn't rest enough and she doesn't have enough fun. And they go on a date with Cecilia, like, incognito, big hat, glasses, etc., and it's going great until they run into the hero's party.
Well, the hero's party, quote unquote, it's the hero and the other girl from the party.
Yes. And it is revealed that a disastrous love triangle is going on because the hero is in love with Cecilia and the other girl, whose name I didn't note down at all, Mikana, is in love with the hero. And so Mikana is rooting for Yoki so that'll take Cecilia off the table so she'll have a chance with, I think the hero's name might be Yuga. I was close. Anyway, the hero is like, well, we should all hang out together because what he really wants is to hang out with Cecilia, and he drags them into a jewelry shop. And, like, they're talking about buying things for Cecilia, and Yoki picks out a really pretty, demure, subdued pendant that, like, the colour perfectly matches her outfit and everything. And Yuga comes back with a fucking rider belt covered in giant emeralds. And then, in attempting to put it on Cecilia, he, like, disturbs her disguise, so they all get recognised, they get swarmed, they get separated. And shenanigans ensue. There's the episode with the lost child. The next day, Cecilia is sick from, like, overexertion, having too much fun and too much fuss from the crowd. Yoki goes to visit her. As he's leaving... Oh no, missed a step. As he's searching to try to link up with Cecilia again, he runs into Raven, who is the sword master from the Heroes Party, who is tall and handsome and looks a bit like Ash from Tales of the Abyss.
Yeah, a little bit. And he's also been silent, and he's, like, known as the Silent Swordsman.
And then he speaks, and it turns out that he has an extremely feminine voice.
Specifically, the way that they would describe it in the manga is he has, like, a Shota voice.
Oh, God. Oh, dear. Anyway, he's very shy about his voice. But, like, he asks Yoki if they can be friends, and Yoki, being a nice boy, is like, yeah, we can be friends. Raven does not know about Yoki having any connection to Cecilia at this point. Anyway, the next day, Yoki is leaving Cecilia's manor and sees Raven coming the other way, and Raven is troubled and asks Yoki for love advice. And we can all see where this is going, but Yoki can't. So Yoki, like, talks Raven up and builds his confidence, and Raven sets off to ask out his crush by walking directly towards Cecilia's mansion.
Yep.
Anyway, in further androgyny hijinks, in the Clear Moonlit Dusk, episode 2 picks up right where the last episode left off, which is Yoi and the boy whose name I've forgotten. Kohaku. He does, like, actually give his name to her at the end of this episode after they've been hanging out now for, like, a week. But they're having lunch in an abandoned classroom in the old school building, and one of his buddies shows up. And Yui hides wrapped up in the curtain, but the curtain is not a ceiling-to-floor curtain, so there's just her legs protruding out from the bottom of this curtain. The friend doesn't even notice, because what he's there to do is remind Kohaku that he has a date that evening after school with this third-year girl who's been pestering him. And Yui hears this and is like, fuck you, you are just, like, flirting with everybody. You're just toying with me. I'm mad about this. I'm going to leave. And she forgets her flask of curry that we mentioned in the last episode.
And unlucky for her, it's branded with their curry shop.
Yeah. So she's at work later, and Kohaku and Blondie come to the restaurant to return her flask. And then it turns out that Blondie is a massive, like, curry fanatic. So they stay and eat. And her dad notices her talking to them and just straight up asks her which one is her boyfriend.
Yep.
And then Kohaku asks if he can walk her home after the meal. And she's like, I've got to stay and finish at work. And her dad hears this and pokes his head around the doorway of the kitchen and goes, you're finished for the day. So they're walking home and they get caught in the rain. So they go to his place, which is this ghastly rich kid mansion. And she takes a shower and he gives her some of his clothes and she looks somehow even better.
Yeah, like there was a shot which was just like, oh, Becky's about to make a very pleased noise. Then like half a second later, muffled groan.
Small furry creature being run through a mangle noises. But I mean, they are cheating because the outfit that she's wearing absolutely would not fit Kohaku at all. Like, that outfit is sized for her.
Or maybe he outgrew it.
But she does look good in it. I wish I had that exact shirt.
We'll work on it.
Anyway, the next day, she's at school and her two friends, Kotobuki and Nobara, are grilling her about him and are they going out and what's the deal there? And also, I think it's Kotobuki is the one with the glasses?
I think it's Nobara.
Okay, whichever one of them is the one with the glasses that we celebrated last time. And of course, she is a BL fan and she is immediately considering BL scenarios for Yoi and Kohaku.
Prince X Prince, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Twink Prince X Butch Prince, it has to be said.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, That's the wrong show. That's Hana-Kimi. We've got that later. Anyway, then he's hanging out with his mates and a couple of girls come up because they've heard that he blew off his date from the previous day, which he did in order to take Yoi's flask back to her at the restaurant. So those girls are grilling him about Yoi, and they start shit-talking her and how she looks, and he outright calls them ugly to their faces about it, which is great. And then his friends start badgering him, like, what's the deal there? Why are you interested in her? And he's just an excitable little puppy about this girl.
And he's just
it's
like,
great.
I don't understand why y'all aren't interested in her. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah. Anyway, Yoi is feverish. She's in school, she's not feeling great. So she goes to the nurse's office. And she opens the door and Kohaku is there. Because he was just cutting class, I guess.
Because of all the... He was really tired of people bugging him about his interest in her. And he was just like, right, I'm skipping class. Bye. Princes don't get held back.
That's right. Yeah. One of his friends is like, you'll have to get held back a year if you keep skipping class. And he's like, princes don't get held back. But they're in the nurse's office. She really doesn't want to deal with his shit. He persuades her to like come into the office and lie down, etc. And she's lying down in the bed and he climbs in with her on the excuse of needing to keep her warm because she's feverish, which I thought it was bad to keep warm when you're feverish. I thought you were supposed to keep cold.
No. Well, the whole thing is like if you're feverish, your body is trying to get your antibodies to do work and burn up the whatever's making you ill. So it's mostly good to have a stable temperature.
Which I guess snuggling with a boy is one way to do that.
I don't know.
They're curled up.
I keep you warm.
You can also curl it with a girl.
I'm just saying, like, cuddling is a good way to stay warm, especially when, nurses' office sheets.
Yes.
They're not exactly heat retentive.
They aren't, but also it's not like it's winter. Anyway, they're lying in this bed and they both fall asleep and they're there the whole afternoon and her friends come by to drop her bag off and see them there and they leave her a note. But then Yoi and Kohaku are walking home together and he says something about destiny, and Kotobuki and Nobara have been talking about fate as well. And this kind of itches at her enough that she says, well, people keep talking about fate. How would you test that? And he goes, here's an idea. Let's go on some dates. That'll tell if it's fate or not. And he's about to say, I was just kidding.
He's literally in the middle of saying, that was a joke. And she goes, all right, let's go out.
Which rules. I love her so much. She's great.
Yeah.
A thing I wanted to note about this show is that this school, instead of having pleated skirts for uniforms, has pencil skirts. And, I don't know how actually rare that is. Obviously, it's rare in anime because there's an archetype of what a girl's school uniform looks like. I am wondering how much it was done just so that they could have Yoi in a pencil skirt because pencil skirts look more butch.
I'm also thinking, most of the time that they're not pleated, it's all girls' school uniforms, which, yeah, I don't know. It's definitely a design choice where it's just sometimes you forget that she's wearing a skirt, and I don't know if that's intentional or not.
Yeah. If I was a parent and this was one of the schools that I was looking at maybe sending my kids to, I would really want to know who had come up with that modification to the uniform. It just strikes me as sus.
Okay. I don't know.
Anyway, moving on. The Invisible Man and His Soon-to-Be Wife, Episode 2, which is the first time we've heard the OP, and it is something.
It's really funny is what it is.
It opens with Celtic Fiddle, and then the first lyrics are ding dong, ding dong.
Which threw you for a loop.
God, it threw me for a loop. What the hell? Anyway, Tonome and Shizuka go on their first date, declared as a date, which is this tea shop where you make your own blend of teas. And the proprietor starts grilling them about their relationship, and his wife has to kind of drag him away and scold him. And he's a dark elf and she's a white elf.
Which is not a term I hear used often.
Yeah.
Or at all. Yeah. But then he shouts, I'm being oppressed by a white elf, and I'm like, that's a line you can take.
Wish a localizer had thought a little bit more about this one. Even if it's faithful to the Japanese, which I didn't catch. But, they have a cute little date. And then the next day at work, Shizuka asks Jirashi and Guy, whose name is not Kira, but it might as well be. I think it might be Kikira. It's something like that. Anyway, she's asking them for, clothing tips, basically. Because obviously, being blind, she can't easily evaluate appearance herself. But she wants to dress in ways that will kind of... Actually, the first thing she asks them is what Tonome normally wears, because she wants to make sure that she looks good when she's out with him. Anyway, they tease her a bit about this, and then Jirashi takes her out shopping and helps her with knowing what the clothes look like, whether they work as outfits. And then Jirashi realizes she's kind of maybe been rushing Shizuka through some of this stuff and apologizes. And Shizuka's like, "Who are you and what have you done with Jirashi? Are you feeling okay? Have you been eating off the floor?" Because Bobcat. And Jirashi's troubled by this until Shizuka reveals that she's teasing her, which it's nice to have this kind of vaguely moe blobbish girl still be able to tease her friends. Then the detective agency takes a case for the tea shop couple who are being stalked and hounded by mysterious white-robed figures in vans. And the resolution of the mystery is that it's the wife's family being weird.
Yep.
They wanted to come and check on her, but they didn't want her to see them checking on her because they thought that would bother her, so they did the most bothering her thing that they could possibly have done.
Yeah, showing up in, cars outside their establishment wearing white hoods when she's married a different race,
Yeah!
It's a little much. I feel like somewhere someone could have gone, "Hey, this is kind of sus, you might want to change this a bit," but it didn't happen before it made it to anime.
Then Tonome and Shizuka go on another date. Tonome says he wants to go to a dark restaurant, so a blackout restaurant, so that he can experience, as he puts it, being in her world. And, I actually, some of the background here, one of the examples I use in my teaching about the utility or otherwise of experiencing other people's lives through art is exactly this kind of blindness simulation of we're going to put you in a dark room so that temporarily you can experience what it's like to be blind. Turns out not to be a good idea. Generally, there are uses for it, but for the most part, it doesn't work as intended. And indeed, here what goes wrong is that Tonome is afraid of the dark, which is also what happened to me when I went on one of these as a kid.
Oh.
I used to be very badly afraid of the dark, and Dad took me and my sister to this museum that had one of these exhibits, and it was just half an hour of holding onto his sleeve and trying to hold it together in dark room after dark room. But he turns out to be afraid of the dark, which he has a childhood trauma experience with a test of courage, isn't it? The thing that you go for a walk in the forest at summer camp or whatever. So they leave the restaurant, but they bring the meal with them. Shizuka figures out that something's wrong and she finds him. She has them box up the meal and they go to his place and eat the meal and they have a lovely time. And he kind of formally asks her to be his girlfriend. And she starts speaking in sound effects. It's great. She's so squeaky. We come now to the scrunkliest of scrunkles.
Yep.
In You and I Are Polar Opposites, episode 2, which I had to watch twice because it's so much that I just couldn't take notes as we were watching it the first time.
Yeah.
We start basically with Suzuki being teased by her friends about how she does not know how to be a girlfriend. And in response to this, she takes on the quest of becoming the king of the girlfriends. First step, walk home with Tani. It's really awkward because they look up a bunch of how to be a good partner articles online, listicle type stuff. And it's all about listening and asking the right questions and taking an interest and not dominating conversation and so on. Which, of course, Suzuki, being the most extrovert possible and having no filter, is terrible at, and she's really worried about being terrible at it. And Tani's got something on his mind as well, which is that he thought she wanted to keep their relationship quiet because, being a guy with not great self-esteem, he assumed that she would... She says something about having been worried about what people would think, and he takes that really to heart. But Suzuki wants everyone to know, because that's how she is.
It's not so much that she wants everyone to know, it's that she cannot help but talk about it.
Yes, true. Anyway, they resolve that, and she tells him she just wants to live her life as best she can and be with the person she loves, which is him. Side note, by the way, both of them in the dub very clearly and emotionally say, I love you at a point in this episode. It's much less like romantically loaded in the JP audio.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of the rare cases where the dub is less subdued than the Japanese audio. It's more over the top. But Tani has also been looking up articles online about how to talk to a partner, and he's really embarrassed when Suzuki spots this in his search history on his phone, but she is delighted. Like, she's really happy about it, both because it means they're in the same boat about this stuff, and also because it means he's been thinking about her, which is the best way to take that.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, they make plans to go on a date. He asks her to go on a date with him that weekend, and she's talking to her friends about it, and they demand that she take some pics with him to commemorate the date, and they start razzing her about how she can't smile for cameras, which sadly is very relatable to me, and she shows them a selfie of hers where she is pulling a horrible face, and we have to talk about this pair of lines. She says, "This is a top-tier thirst trap. You could drink soup out of those dimples." And the more deadpan of her friends goes, "Is that what you think a thirst trap is?" Just murder. Just an absolutely vicious thing to say to someone.
God, she's such a fucking disaster.
It's so good, though.
It's so good.
It's the representation, sadly. I am feeling very represented here.
Mm-hmm.
They go on the date, and the first thing they're doing is going to a burger joint that does these supermassive burgers, and she's about to tuck in, and then she remembers that last time she was here, she got sauce smeared all over her face doing that. And she's like, I don't want to look gross in front of my boyfriend. So she flinches and he has to kind of talk her back into it. And she yells, flavor over flirting, and just hoofs the burger.
Which is the right call.
100%. We are noted girl-eating burger fans here, especially Val.
Don't fucking call me out specifically like this.
I gotta get one in somehow this episode, babe. After the way that I am about to get hit by this fucking show. Because they go to a movie together, and it's a very sweet movie, and she cries a lot and ruins her mascara. Then they're talking about it afterwards, and she's like yammering about all the things she liked about the movie, and she can't remember any of the proper nouns. Place names, character names, anything. And he just fills them in for her, already almost automatically. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, if you're listening to this, you've probably listened to other episodes of our show. This is me.
Yeah, I literally called out in the middle of your first viewing of this episode, this is us. And you were just like...
Yeah. After the fucking everything else as well, they're not smiling for photos and...
No, it's extremely funny because this happens before she fails to smile for a photo at the end of the fucking date. And then I would just like, look, you're being represented.
I'm gonna stab you in all the places.
Love you too.
Anyway, a nice counterbalance is he's better at remembering the names. She's better at picking up on visual details. And it's very clear that like she just has a more visual way of thinking. Like, he's got more of an ear for the text, but she's better at the visuals. And as a result, they both get more out of the film from having the other one there. And then they're making their way home, and she realizes that everything they've done on the date has been kind of her stuff, and she apologizes for monopolizing the time. And he's like, I mean, I wouldn't have done those things if I was on my own, but they were really fun because you were here. I had a great time. And then he notices the shirt she's wearing that she spent ages trying to choose, and it's a very plain t-shirt with a panda on it. But she was stressing over her outfit for a while, and he kind of has this speech about how fun it was, and then he looks down and is like, oh, I like your shirt, I like pandas. And she literally starts moving at super speed and glowing and sparkling and like turns into a rainbow like she just got the invulnerability power-up from a 90s platformer.
Yep.
It's so good. She's a scrunkler.
She sure is.
Also a scrunkler, I would argue, is Mizuki from Hana-Kimi.
Yeah, this is true.
So, this is episode 4, and there is a moment early in this episode where Mizuki and Sano are hanging out, and Mizuki is thinking, there's no way he knows I'm a girl, and Sano is thinking, there's no way she knows I know she's a girl. And they both think, and it'll be fine, which it won't be fine.
It definitely won't.
Anyway, this episode we get introduced to Sano's rival in the high jump, because middle school boys in Japan can apparently have national level rivalries. But Kagurazaka, as he's called, kind of has a bit of a delinquent look to him and like spiky white hair, and he shit talks Sano for like running away from high jumping and he'll never be good or whatever. And then a few days later, Kagurazaka comes to their school because he wants to like scope out Sano getting back into high jump and see how he's doing. And he runs into Mizuki, who already hates him, and is like, hey, where's Sano? And Mizuki's like, I'm not telling you. So Kagurazaka picks her up, throws her over his shoulder in a fireman's carry, and takes her to Sano.
Yep.
And then antagonizes Sano, and Sano doesn't want to get into a fight with Kagurazaka, so Mizuki slaps Kagurazaka and shit talks him so bad that as he's walking away, he does stumble.
In the dub, at least, she calls him a fake emo with udon noodle legs, which is great.
Sano is still laughing about it hours later.
Yeah, because they have udon. So he's reminded. It's really good.
Yeah. Anyway, Mizuki is concerned about Sano's progress back into high jumping, and she goes to speak to the doctor about it, who is the only person that she knows she's a girl. And
something that feels vaguely homophobic that occurs.
It does. Yeah, it's really a symptom of this being an older manga, right? Like, it really is. Because what happens is he goes behind a curtain and comes out in, like, Brazilian, not carnival, what's the word?
Carnival, yeah.
Yeah, drag, like a bikini and an ostrich feather tailpiece and goofy glasses, and it's just there to be a sight gag, basically.
Yeah, it definitely feels like this manga is from 1996, which it is.
Yeah.
Why did it take this long to get adapted? What the fuck?
I do not know. Anyway, like, he puts on this bikini because he thinks it'll help with the conversation that they have, and they have a conversation about it, and, you know, whatever. The other thing that is happening this episode is, and I missed the exact detail here, they end up with a crate of lemons.
Mm-hmm. One of the guys gets a shipment from home because they had a lemon tree that fruited.
Right, okay. And it's a lot of lemons.
Yeah.
And they're like, the fuck are we going to do with all these lemons? And they decide to make a lemon hot pot and have a hot pot party. So they're all getting prepped for that, and there's a miscommunication about some stuff, and they end up picking up a wine bottle that someone had left at the entrance of the dorm.
For the doctor.
For the doctor, right, yes. Anyway, the wine is brought into the party, mistaken for grape juice, and Sano drinks a bunch and gets very drunk because teen boy, you know, in a culture that doesn't have a lot of underage drinking, in an environment where he hasn't a lot of opportunity to underage drink. So he gets very drunk and he walks off. And eventually Mizuki's like, he's been gone a while. I'm going to go and check on him. And goes to their room, finds Sano like barely conscious, and Sano kisses her.
Mm-hmm.
End of episode.
Yep.
So there's going to be some truly nuclear fallout from that next week.
Yep.
Can't wait.
For sure. Speaking of fallout from this week, you can't be in a Romcom with your childhood friends. Sure was an episode today.
Yep, episode 3, we just watched this. So, AU reads particularly childhood friend Romcom manga.
Mm-hmm.
Shio knew this because she keeps sneaking into his bedroom and reading it while he's asleep. But he doesn't know that she knows. And he's been very diligently trying to keep it a secret, which he does by dressing as a pervert to go to the manga shop to...
He's not dressed as a pervert. He's trying to dress incognito and just doing it very badly.
He's trying to dress incognito, and the standard way for Japanese anime to render boy tries to go incognito to a manga store is just pervert coded to me. Anyway, he's gone to the store to buy this manga, and Shio and Akari happen to be walking past and they spot him. And so now they both know that he reads childhood friend Romcom manga, and he knows that they know.
Yep.
And he thinks that they're just going to bully him about it.
Yep, because his entire, like, the entire worry he's had this entire series so far is, like, I don't want to make them feel like I have feelings for them because that would make them hate me.
Yeah.
Like, if I admitted that I, A, have had any sexual thoughts about them, or B, have a crush on either of them, I would probably be socially orphaned.
Yes. Which is incorrect, of course, but boys can be idiots.
It's a valid anxiety.
No, I think at some point you have to start interpreting your friend's behaviours at face value, and Shio really could not throw herself at him any harder than she has done up to this point, and particularly what she gets up to this episode.
And then she backs off and fucking ruins it, which keeps happening, which is the problem.
Yeah.
At some point, it's not on his head to interpret these things. It's up to them to stop giving him fucking mixed signals.
And they're not very mixed. This is like...
They're not very mixed, except for the time where she, at the end of the episode, where she goes, no, I was just doing that to mess with him because he likes the manga. You know, the thing he was worried about. He has a fucking anxiety attack over it.
Anyway, before we get to that point, he's on Jim's storage room sorting duty for that day. And Shio goes to the gym storage room after school to ambush him and, like, draw him into the gym storage room Romcom scenario.
Mm-hmm.
But the teacher tells AU, hey, there were no PE lessons today, you don't need to go and do anything with the storage room, just help us clean the classroom instead. And Shio falls asleep in the gym storage room and gets locked in. Wakes up kind of late that evening and is rescued by AU because he's the one who knows her well enough to figure out that she was planning a prank. He thinks it's a teasing prank, not a romantic prank, but, like, he comes and rescues her, and she... I can't actually remember how deliberate this was, but he ends up falling over on top of her, and she's about to do the don't get up just yet bit.
I don't think it was deliberate that she tripped him or anything, like...
Yeah, not this time. That happened last episode.
Yeah, like, she was going to try and get him to not send a message to whoever so that they could have some more alone time, but...
That's right, yes. He said, right, I'm going to send a message that I found you and you're okay, because everybody's worried about her. And she tries to stop him to buy more time, and they fall over, and so he's on top of her, and she starts doing the, don't get up yet bit, and he thinks that she's pranking him by mimicking the manga, rather than, like, mimicking the manga because it's what she wants. But she does manage to get him to hang out with her in the gym for a bit, and they do talk, and she is right on the cusp of confessing to him when Akari arrives, and she's starting to get really itchy about the time that Shio and AU are together. Akari asks AU if he likes Shio, and he says he likes her as a childhood friend and as family. Then the next day, Akari asks Shio if she likes AU, and they're in the girls' bathroom, and he overhears them talking because there's no privacy in that bathroom. It doesn't have a door. It just has a doorway that opens directly into the corridor, which is weird.
Yeah. The construction's a little suspect, but...
Yeah. Anyway, this does mean that he can overhear them easily from the boys' bathroom next door, which has the same problem. And he can hear them run to hear what they're saying because they're talking about their feelings for him. And he arrives in time to stand in the doorway as Shio says, no, I was just doing jokes from the Romcom manga. Which he then, like, tries to put a brave face on, but, like, runs away in tears.
And skips class, just kind of...
And skips class, yeah.
Losing himself to the sky on the rooftop for an hour.
And then we cut to the next evening, and Akari is in the bath, kind of grumping tsunderily about AU and what his feelings might be, and Shio and so on. And AU walks in. It's her bath in her house, and he walks in because it turns out that the bath in his house is out of order, so his family have come around to hers to have a party and also use the bath. And for some reason, he just walked into the bathroom, I guess. So she's mad at him. They're having this, like, drinking party downstairs, and she goes outside to sulk or whatever. He follows her out because he can tell that something's not okay, and asks her what's up, and she asks him if he remembers their promise, and he teases her about her requiring him to promise when they were kids at sleepovers that he would always go to the bathroom with her at night because she was scared, which was apparently a promise that they made, but he does also remember the promise she's talking about to, like, stay by her side. And then she turns to him and goes, when are you going to make me your wife? And he's having normal reactions to that when Shio glomps him because she's drunk, except that she hasn't touched alcohol. She's just drunk off the vibes, her parents say. This show is so much.
Yep.
Troublingly, there is still no sign of girls 3 and 4.
Yep.
And I feel like I know there are torpedoes in the water, but I don't know where.
Those landmines will be a surprise tool that hurt us later.
In a show where we do have all 4 girls in place already, tune into the Midnight Heart, episode 2.
You got so mad this episode.
I'm so angry about this boy and his shit-ass fucking attitude. I was less angry by the end of the episode. But the episode starts with him having appointed himself these girls' life coach. And he's made up all these huge plans about like fitness and nutrition and training and so on. And like set them goals and stuff that they can work towards. And, you know, in another show with a different main character, he would have done all this. And, you know, maybe it would have been like Mikadono Sisters, which has a bunch of that stuff early on. This guy is so pompous and overbearing about it that none of them want anything to do with it. The first part of the episode, the focus is on Rika, who is the one who wants to be a singer, and he's trying to get her to do like a busking show. And she's really nervous about it. He says there's no reason to be nervous about that. And she asks him if he's ever been nervous, and he says he never has, which she rightly points out is bullshit. But in order to prove to her that it's not scary to perform live, he vanishes for a week to learn guitar and singing. And it turns out that Rika performs live on the regular, just at school, and has a big audience of fangirls. And he hijacks her spot and is awful because you can't get to gigging standard on guitar and vocals in a week.
He more or less does prove his point that it's nothing to be nervous about.
Yes, he proves that she doesn't need to be scared, which is the thing that he's trying to do. Then Nene, the one who wants to be a voice actress, is like being sus and sneaking away, and the other girls think she might have a boyfriend. And what he finds is, no, she's slipping away to practice for a voice acting audition. And he strong-arms his way into helping her practice. She just needs someone to practice with, and she's embarrassed about it. And to allay her embarrassment, he tells her a bunch of embarrassing stories about times he peed himself.
Yep. His heart was in the right place for once, but also, what a dumb fuck.
He doesn't explain that this is what's happening. He just tells her 3 stories of him wetting himself.
He does afterwards, but
like he leads with "I pissed myself in this circumstance and this circumstance and this circumstance." Now you know some embarrassing stuff about me too. Which, given that this man is moving heaven and earth to keep a much less embarrassing secret, is a wild move on his part. But it's a romantic role. Nene is struggling because she doesn't have any romantic experience, so he's like, well, okay, let's do fake dating to help you practice. And they do, and he runs her through kind of IRL all the scenarios that are in the script, except the last one where the characters kiss. Because it gets to that point and she's stressing out because she's like, this evil creepy guy is going to like use this as an excuse to get a kiss from me. And he isn't going to do that. Because he says she should save that for someone that she actually does like. And then she goes off to the audition and comes back and like she doesn't get the gig. And he cannot handle the idea that his training didn't work perfectly.
The thing is, like, the thing that actually causes her to not get the gig is that the author of the manga was there and basically handpicked their preferred voice actress.
Yes.
And he's just like, I should have fucking seen that coming.
Yeah. And, like, that did a lot to endear me to the show, actually. That it was prepared to knock him back like that.
Mm-hmm.
And also with him, like, not miraculously being a good singer. It's like, this show is prepared to knock this guy back.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, he falls over with, like, the script book on his face. And, you know, feeling grateful to him for his help and support, she leans over and smooches the book while it's on his face. And then tries to pretend she didn't, but all the other girls show up and see this, and they can tell that her pretense that she didn't kiss him on the book.
And also the fact that she shouts, I hate you,
yes,
and storms off are both pretenses because her ears turn bright red when she's lying.
Yeah.
Which is really cute.
Yes, it's very good. Also bizarrely cute is the events of the second episode of The Holy Grail of Eris. Not to be confused with Roll Over and Die or The Villainess is Adored by the Prince of the Neighbouring Kingdom, which are both incorrect titles that I've written down for this show in the notes.
Yeah.
Anyway, this episode opens with Connie arriving at a noble estate disguised as a maid. Sorry, not a noble estate, arriving at an orphanage disguised as a maid, saying that she is there to collect letters that the children have written in gratitude to a lady, like a noble lady. And she's there to collect them, to take them to place. She gathers the letters, and then deliberately she falls in the fountain at this orphanage, so that they will provide her a change of clothes, which will of course be a nun's habit because the orphanage is run by nuns, so that dressed as a nun she can take these letters to the manor that they are supposed to be delivered to get entrance to it,
and investigate,
to search the chapel.
Yeah, the chapel on the premises.
Where the lady died of what has been declared a suicide, because Scarlet thinks that there might be a hidden message there for her. It's fully like a bit from a heist movie, this. I love it. They're in this chapel, they find a note, but then the lady's husband, the lady's widower, comes in. His name is Randolph Ulster, which is a heck of a name. He is like, well, what are you doing here, little nun? And she desperately bluffs her way out. She goes to take the habit back to the orphanage, and the orphans confront her, and they say this weird code phrase at her, because this lady, Lily, taught them that code phrase as a way of identifying very bad people. And they were suspicious of her because she was acting really sus. But she passes the test. She doesn't know anything about the code phrase. Then Connie is talking to her friend Kate, who has been very understanding about like how much she's been through, warns her she's kind of become a minor celebrity in noble circles because of the big scene that Scarlet caused with the whole thing in the first episode. But she sees invites to some parties on Connie's table and is like, oh great, you're getting back into the dating pool, basically. Which Connie is not doing, but she does want to go to this particular party because Scarlet thinks it will be a good opportunity to get more information about all the bad shit that happened in the past. So they go to the party and they meet the host. Scarlet insists that she's not a friend.
They have very dense, we have bitter ex history energy.
They have toxic Yuri bitter ex energy. It's great. And as Kate is greeting this lady, Scarlet is feeding her lines, which are the lines that Scarlet would have used to greet her.
You want to give that another go with the right name?
What did I have there?
Kate.
God damn it.
I love you so much.
Scarlet feeds Connie the lines that she would have used to greet the host in the past, and that is enough to like trigger flashbacks in the host, and she kind of storms off, which is like part of what they wanted to do. But then their plans are disrupted because Randolph is there and he recognizes her from the manor, and she has to bluff again, and he definitely knows it's her, but Scarlet takes over, like possesses her, and kind of is talking their way out of it when the scene is disrupted by a lady at the party bottling another lady over the head for having an affair with her husband. Like, fully breaking the bottle as well. And like,
it was a glass, but yeah.
Was it a glass?
A glass was definitely shattered, but...
Anyway, yeah, that was enough of a distraction that Connie gets away. She speaks to the host again outside and asks some questions about the past, gets cryptic answers, and then the final shot of the episode is a couple of other nobles making out in the garden outside the party, and one of them says the code phrase that Lily taught the kids. While they are both contemplating a vial of something that the lady of the pair was keeping in her cleavage. Gnosia, episode 14, since we're talking about people being sus. So the last loop ended with Yuri confronting Yuriko about maybe being Manan, the like evil lady whose presence haunts this story through some of the other characters. And Yuriko reveals that she's a Gnosia and presumably kills Yuri then and there. And when Yuri wakes up at the start of this loop, Yuriko is the one waiting for them. And basically, she promises Yuri that she'll tell them everything if Yuri can survive this loop, which she calls the festival.
Because it is all 15 characters with all the roles, including a new one, which is they invented a human that lies.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, they call it an anti-cosmic sympathizer. Gnosia are anti-cosmics. And the specific description is the human will lie to try to prevent the crew members finding the Gnosia. It's not directly to aid the Gnosia, but it is about muddying the picture.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a, frankly, head-swimming sequence of logic and the first few kind of rounds of meetings. And I will be completely honest, I couldn't follow the logic. I trust that Yuri was following steps of logic that made sense. The episode ends with Yuri believing that they have cornered Rakio.
Mm-hmm.
So they accuse Rakio of being a Gnosia, and I think this is a one guard always lies type puzzle to expose the fact that Rakio is the anti-cosmic sympathizer.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll find out next week.
Yep, we sure will.
Roll Over and Die, episode 2. So we learn that Dane, the guy who sent Flum and Milkit on this D-ranked quest, is a drug trader, because when he learns of the death of the slave trader who had tried to kill Flum, he's like, oh, this might give us an opportunity to muscle in on his turf.
Mm-hmm.
Flum and Milkit go out into the forest to find this werewolf that they're supposed to kill, and it's actually a pack of werewolves. And, the implication is that Flum could probably handle like 2 werewolves, but there's 5 of them. And then one of them just starts merging with the other werewolves and becomes a hideous chimera multi-wolf thing that can inflict truly horrific limb-severing magic on Flum. She can regrow the limbs almost instantly, so it's not a total disaster, but it's pretty grim to watch.
Mm-hmm.
She beats the werewolf, the werewolf chimera, and it gets back up as a werewolf chimera, and Flum is like thinking about protecting Milkit and like feeling good about protecting Milkit because she's been hapless in battle before, and she gets the lesbian buff from that, and she defeats the werewolf chimera by dropping a bridge on it.
Yep.
And she goes back to Milkit and they have a heart-to-heart about whether she's going to keep Milkit around or not. Milkit is really determined that Flum shouldn't keep her around because she has the worst self-esteem possible, basically. We cut away to the heroes' party, who are really getting hit with the shoelace fantasy.
Yep.
Like, no one in the party can cook. Flum was the only one who could cook, and they all miss Flum's cooking, and it's making them all super tetchy. And the sage, the guy who sold her into slavery because he hated her so much and ousted her from the party, is extra super duper cranky and is also mad about the fact that the heroes' party are constantly talking about Flum and missing her.
Mm-hmm.
I really hope we get to see him get his comeuppance. Flum comes back to the guild and turns in the quest, and Dane is like, no, you must have cheated. Or no, one of Dane's gang says she must have cheated. So she, pulls out her sword and knocks him over and intimidates him, thereby humiliating the entire gang and no doubt making an enemy. And then we get a shot of the fucking werewolf chimera pinned under the bridge, but saying Flum's name and expressing intent to kill.
Yeah, swearing some kind of vengeance.
Mm-hmm. Right, let's see how fast we can go through Sentenced to be a Hero episode 2. The shitty Knight Commander lady looks like a female version of Yuri Lowell from Tales of Vesperia. We meet 2 more of the convict heroes, one of whom, Norgal, is a jolly old man who is under the delusion that he is still king. Apparently he was a bad king and he got heroified for that. The other is Tatsu, who is... It's explained that he's been a hero so long that his memory is completely destroyed. He is absolutely savage in combat. I would like to put on the agenda the debate about whether he is a Tumblr sexy man.
All right, and we're taking it off the table. Let's move on.
I still think the monster designs in this are great. There's some centipede worm critters in this one that are great.
Mm-hmm.
But the episode ends with... So Xylo doesn't want anything to do with Teorita because he's already lost one goddess in the past. He's not happy about that. He's trying to get rid of her. They're trying to clean out this mine. And at the end of the episode, he goes into the mine while ordering the soldiers to hold Teorita back so she can't follow him. And he tells them to drop the mountain on him if the fairies start to threaten containment. And it's pretty clear, I think, that what he really means is drop the mountain on me so no one can recover my body and I don't have to be a hero anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It feels a bit like he thinks he's found a way out. I don't know how that's going to turn out. In Shiboyugi, playing death games to put food on the table, episode 2. So the first episode was Yuki's 28th game. This flashes back to her 10th game, where she is added to a cohort of girls who all know each other from previous games that they've done. And one of them, Mishiro, insists on being the group leader and doesn't believe that Yuki has survived 10 games, which is more than any of the others have. And so Yuki keeps trying to warn them about traps, and eventually Mishiro stops listening to her and tells her to shut up. One of the girls in the group gets blown up by a mine, Yuki abandons the group to go and try to rescue the girl who got blown up. And that's where it ends.
Mm-hmm.
The vibes there are still really weird.
Yep.
And I don't know where the show's going. Are we just going to go back in time, or are we also going to go forward in time? We'll see.
We shall see.
In The Villainess is Adored by the Prince of the Neighbouring Kingdom, episode 2, we get a really strong sense of like how much Prince Aquasteed, Seahorse, is in love with Tiara Rose. That's her fucking name. Like, he's driving her home from the party. They have a nice conversation. He asks if she'll go on a date with him. Then he turns up outside her house at night. He says he wants to show her something. And what he says is it's a festival. And she goes, wait, that festival isn't for months yet. And he magics up an illusion of it, I think is what happens.
Yeah, I think so. Or he just, like, calls the spirits to do the spirit festival out of season. Because he just wants to show it to her.
Yeah. And then they go on a really cute picnic date, and she shares with him some biscuits and madeleines that she's made, and they feed each other. It's very cute. Meanwhile, Heart Knight, her ex-fiancé, is realizing that something is up with Akari, the VN main character girl. He hasn't twigged it yet, but she is also an Isekai.
Mm-hmm. She uses the term villainous, and she's like, why is the villainous still around if the story is over?
Yes.
Offhandedly muttering around him, but he doesn't parse that.
Yeah. And to his credit, Heart Knight then apologizes to Tiara for having misjudged her. And they've known each other a long time. They've been engaged a long time. She has partly been like teaching him or mentoring him in how to act like a prince. And he thinks of her as very harsh, but he realizes in this that she was doing that to try to get him to be a good prince.
And, like, all the times that she got called out for quote-unquote being mean to Akari, it was because Akari was ignoring decorum in ways that,
might cause trouble.
Otome game protagonists usually do,
yeah,
and it might cause trouble, so.
Speaking of trouble, a Misanthrope teaches a class of Demihumans, episode 2. So, continuing the bit about food from the previous episode, the mermaid won't eat anything that's even slightly fish. But the bird, who is a shrike, which, is a predator bird, will happily eat chicken, because she's not a chicken, which is very funny given the whole, like, everything is fish genetics point of view. But Minazuki the mermaid kind of weathers this scene about all of that, and also they have a dance lesson, and Minazuki's reason for becoming human is to dance. Like, she fell in love with the idea of dancing, but because she is mermaid royalty, it turns out, she's kind of in a Little Mermaid scenario where she has to succeed in becoming human. But in her case, the penalty, if she doesn't succeed in being human, is, we are told, she will literally turn into sea foam.
Like the original Little Mermaid.
Yes. So that's high fucking stakes.
A little bit.
And then we start setting up the next episode by having Ogami, the werewolf girl, try to communicate something to the teacher about what happens on the full moon for her, which turns out to be that she becomes a Gyaru.
It's a really good bit.
It's so much. She's so much.
Yeah, because she's usually like very quiet and afraid of being overly loud, but then she turns into Gyaru and it's just like, okay.
Yes. And also it's revealed at the end that she started as a wolf and became a werewolf, not she started as a human who became a werewolf or was born a werewolf. There's just this scene of a puppy locked up going, why must I be locked up? No one else is locked up at the full moon. It's very sad. How this relates to her being a Gyaru, God knows. Reborn as Dragon's Egg, episode 2. The episode ended with them under attack by this like rock dragon that's the most powerful monster in the area, way more powerful than any of them. He's trying to save Miria, this girl that was nice to him. In order to do so, he does turn into a Sonic character. Like, he does the windmilling legs, he does the roll attacks and stuff. It's great. He gets the title Itty Bitty Hero for saving her. But when he takes her to the village, they attack him because monster. So he goes XP farming, and he sets up a trap that uses a monster's summon ally ability to summon a steady supply of abilities.
It gets called a wrongdoer for it.
Yeah, he gets like the evildoer title for that. But then he reaches his next evolution point and he has to choose between 5 different evolution forms, and one of them is the Plague Dragon.
Little Plague Dragon, yeah.
And he's like, I'm not going to be the Plague Dragon. The Plague Dragon has this thing where it's going to cause doom and destruction. But the Plague Dragon, maybe uniquely, certainly uniquely among these 5, has access to the human transformation skill. and he really wants to be human. And we'll see how he chooses.
Yep. I don't think he'll get away with it quite that early.
Yeah.
Speaking about getting away with it this early.
God. Does it count if you lose your virginity to an android? Episode 2. The main character gets home from work. The robot is lonely, but also doesn't have panties. So she takes the robot out to the combini to buy panties, and then tells her to go in a nearby public bathroom to put the panties on. And she stays in there a while, and then the main character is like, what is she doing? Goes in after her, and she has made herself ready for her master, I guess is the euphemistic way to put it. And they almost fuck in a public bathroom, but they get interrupted.
Yep.
In episode 2, where is the show going to go?
I mean, I know a couple places it will probably go, but we'll see what they get up to.
Anyway, let's whiz down some of the older stuff that is not going to take super amounts of time to talk about. So, we are already rewatching A Wild Last Boss Appeared, which Val watched last season and told us on this show quite a lot about. We are rewatching it with my other girlfriend, Tara, who not only hasn't seen it, but also skipped over those bits of the podcast.
It's really funny.
It's so funny because she's picking up all the right things. I'm not really going to talk about her responses to it at length. I do want to pick up on a couple of things that I noticed or I wanted to pick out. So there's something about Dina's character design that she looks like many other characters. I can't put my finger on how. I can pick out a couple of characters that she reminds me of. Aqua from Konosuba is the most obvious one. But there's something about her that really just screams, I am instantiating a type. That I think is really clever for, one, her kayfabe, her gimmick is, I was a nondescript NPC, and two, making her really uncanny, which combines with her overall energy, which I would describe as fangirl who snuck into an event to cozy up to her Oshi. Like, the vibe I get from her, and I don't know if you feel this way, the vibe I get from her is that she's a huge Lufus fan, and that she's delighted to get to hang around with Lufus.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah. Anyway, we got through Lufus kind of getting to the world and reuniting with Eris, the femboy sheep. I did not realise that Eris started as an actual literal sheep. And that when Lufus finds him first, he's a giant sheep fighting a golem that's an entire lake.
Yep, Leviathan.
It's a good fight sequence.
Yep.
And then Lufus punts him through several mountains. So they reunite with him, and then they're on their way to the next place, which is when they make a golem that's an RV called Tanaka, and they shear Eris to furnish the RV, which is great. And they go to Lufus's tomb, which is the largest building in the world, apparently. And there's a giant pyramid, and they're like climbing the pyramid to recruit Libra, right? The robot maid.
Yes.
And there's a great fight scene between Lufus and Libra. And then after that, they are journeying to their next destination, and they stop off at a hot springs, and gender shit happens.
That happened before they get to Libra.
Did it?
Yep.
Fuck.
Yeah, like, I was just like, that happened in the same episode as Tanaka the RV Golem. We ended on them fixing Libra, so.
Right, okay. Anyway, Dina goes to get in the hot spring with Eris, forgetting that he's a boy. And then it's like, hey, Lufus, get in the hot spring, we're both girls. And Lufus feels very weird about that. Lufus realizes that they're not having any, like, physiological arousal response to Dina's nakedness next to her in the hot spring. But they are starting to have thoughts about Eris.
I don't think that's true.
I really thought there was a moment where they were looking at Eris like,
No, Eris ties up his hair and she's just like, Jesus Christ, he's so feminine, is what happens.
Fair enough. I mean, I thought that it was like, Jesus Christ, he's so pretty. But anyway.
Nope.
Because this is building on the adapter frogs, which are the frogs that can magically switch gender if there's a gender imbalance. And, this is there to, like, prod at Lufus's sense of self because, like, she's done that, sort of. Anyway, we also started watching, just the two of us, Outbreak Company. We watched the first 3 episodes, which I would sum up with, oh god, right, we're watching this.
I did warn you.
You did, but you were also quite keen to show it to me, and I understand why. So the conceit here is this guy who's a mega otaku gets drafted by the Japanese military to lead a cultural mission to an Isekai world to market anime and manga to them and like that whole culture. And unfortunately, he is a horrible otaku goblin. And every time he sees a girl, he has a reaction.
Well, every time he sees most girls that have come on screen,
Yes.
he is normal around most other characters. I promise.
Just don't let this boy see things. But also, like, the Empress of the Isekai world is also a horrible little goblin. She has a shitty older brother. Shinichi stands up to him very publicly in a way that would be a massive faux pas, except that the Empress is impressed by this and forgives him. She is 16. She looks about 7.
He has an outburst about it.
He does have an outburst.
And gets clocked in the fucking chin for it.
So, a charitable reading of what this show is trying to say is you can't sell people otaku culture if they don't have basic freedoms and rights, because there's a lot of stuff about how the poor people in this world are illiterate and they just work all the time, they don't have leisure and so on.
I think the more accurate reading is more that you can't teach people about your culture if there's no shared medium for you to do so, because it is like a whole thing that they are going to have to basically teach people Japanese before they are able to sell this to them. And I'm going to like not bury the lead on this one. It's called Outbreak Company for a reason. This is a show about the Japanese government exerting soft power and trying to influence the culture of, you know, the third episode is about him being called an invader, and they're right.
But also, like, the reason why I'm a bit iffy on this is because, like, it's not just literacy that he's bringing to this world, right? It's also, like, liberation of the serfs, basically.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, if there's no philosophical overlap, you can't exchange ideas, let alone media.
The thing I'm skeptical about is, and, you know, maybe this show will steer away from this. I've only seen 3 episodes of it. This is just a thing that I have my eye on at the moment, which is this show about Japanese soft power, an instance of Japanese soft power that is trying to make the argument that Japanese soft power should be used to civilize the primitives?
No.
Because, sure, you have to teach people Japanese in order to sell them Japanese books. And lots of the reforms that Shinichi is bringing and is pushing, and he sets up this school to teach Japanese to people, and he insists that it not be only for the aristocracy and stuff. There is genuinely good stuff in there. And the people who come to blow the school up are framed as, you know, reactionary terrorists, which they are. They have a firebomb. He puts it out with a fire extinguisher that he's imported so that the school has proper fire extinguishers. But it's that thing of, how does capitalism understand the export of liberal democracy, right? Hovering in the back of this. And, you know, I take you at your word that that's not going to be the overall point, but it's a thing that's been itching at me with the show. And then the 2 girls who, well, one of them's been feuding with the other without the other realizing over Shinichi, because for some reason there are 2 girls who really like this horrible creature of a boy.
God, that can't be relatable at all.
You're not a horrible creature, you're an adorable creature.
Matter of perspective.
I have my perspective and I will say it.
I know. Get on with the fucking summary.
Anyway, the maid takes a knife for Petrarca, the Empress, and really looks like she's dying. Like, it leans into it pretty hard. So that'll be fun to pick up from whenever we next find time to watch older stuff, because time is at a premium at the moment. I want to briefly summarize Dougram stuff that I've been watching with Tara. So this is a long, you know, I think it's a year-long run mecha anime. It takes until episode 9 for the protagonist to even see the mech, the Dougram that gives its title to the show. There is this whole huge, complicated political plot. Tara pointed out some things that are pretty clearly inspired by the Nakba and by elements of the Israel-Palestine conflict, which, you know, this show was made in 1981 to 3. So a lot of the situation in Palestine at the moment is in many ways very much worse than it was when this was made. And I think that not only is this pretty stark about oppression and how oppression works, it's also prescient. I think it already has demonstrated an ability to anticipate things that have subsequently happened. It's another case of, like, this is a really interesting historical document, now nearly 50 years old. The writing is basic a lot of the time, but the characters do have great chemistry and they do pop. Like, it's not hard to enjoy this story and invest in these characters at all. There's a thing, God, this irks me a bit. So I teach a module called Philosophy of the Future, and one of the things I've talked about on that is the idea of the future being a mirror of the past, and in particular the tendency of reactionary fascism to imagine like the past as a golden age of purity, the present as a degraded state, and the glorious fascist future as a mirror image of the past. And I thought I was really clever for coming up with that, and it's in this show from 6 years before I was born. Very annoying. Anyway, Kryn eventually gets the Dougram, and it's the Super Mech, it's the AV Unit 1, it's the Gundam, etc. It's not clear why it's so much more powerful than the other mechs, but it is. And one of the first times that he takes it into battle, he has to kill the unit he's fighting against is led by the soldier who was supervising his training when he was a military cadet. So it's doing the classic kind of, oh God, if I stand on my principles against my people, I'm going to have to kill some people that I know. It's a serious show, top to bottom. I've been really impressed with it. If you like Gundam stuff, watch Dougram. And that's it. So watching that writers project for Slimebug Productions. Intro and outro music is by me, graphics are by Val. You can find us on Blue Sky at slimebug.bsky.social, YouTube at youtube.com/slimebugproductions, Patreon at patreon.com/slimebugproductions. Download all episodes from Libsyn at slimebug.pro and join our Discord via the link in the description. Thanks for listening, and until next time, may anime neither betray nor disappoint you.